My name is Anya Petrova, and if you'd met my family before that Thanksgiving, you'd have thought we were the perfect postcard family. The kind you see in department store ads during the holidays, all matching flannel and forced smiles, pretending we never learned how to hurt each other with silence. But families like mine don't shatter with a bang. They crack slowly in the quiet spaces. In who gets listened to, who gets the last cookie, who gets the college fund, and who gets the shrug. For as long as I can remember, I've lived in that quiet space. My younger sister, Sasha, never knew that space. She was the favorite, vibrant, charismatic, the human equivalent of a sparkler. She was the one relatives fawned over, calling her a ray of sunshine and your parents' greatest joy. I didn't hate her for it. Resentment is a heavy coat to wear, and I was busy building my own life from the ground up, knowing nothing would be handed to me. I moved to Boston for a finance job. They called it abandonment. Sasha stayed in our hometown, a 30-minute drive from our parents' suburban house. She visited every Sunday, a dutiful audience for their stories, sliding perfectly into the mold of the perfect present daughter. My anchor was my grandmother, Babushka Irina, sharp-eyed with a cloud of silver hair and a wit that could slice through pretense. She was the only one who looked at me and saw me. Every holiday she'd pull me close at the door, her hands smelling of lavender and yeast, and whisper in Russian, "The strongest trees grow in the hardest wind, Sonishka." Then she'd shuffle away, leaving me fortified for another year. This Thanksgiving, the air in my parents' house was thick with a secret I wasn't in on. My mother, Lydia, fluttered around the kitchen with a smile so tight it looked painful. My father, Victor, couldn't hold my gaze. Sasha kept smoothing her already smooth dress, a glitter of excitement in her eyes. And then I saw it. In the dining room, there was an empty space where a chair should have been next to mine. Not just moved, gone. I should have known then. The debt and the deception. The real story started 6 months earlier in a sweltering day in July. A terse call from my father. "Come home, it's important." They sat me at the same mahogany dining table. My father slid a folder toward me. "We're refinancing the house, Anya. Better interest rates. Just a signature, a formality." My stomach tightened. In my family, formality was often code for favor that will cost you everything. The documents were a labyrinth of dense paragraphs and blacked-out figures. My lawyer in Boston, a no-nonsense woman named Claudia, took one look and called me the next morning.
This isn't a refinance, Anya. This is a transfer of liability. They're trying to make you responsible for their debt. What debt? The word felt cold in my mouth. The truth was a gut punch, a second mortgage, taken out in secret. Months of missed payments, threats of foreclosure. The beautiful family home was a sinking ship, and they tried to quietly hand me the captain's hat as it went down. 2 months later, the call came asking for money, a temporary loan for my mother's unexpected medical bills. When I insisted on paying the provider directly, the story crumbled. The desperation in my father's voice was real, but the reason was the same: the house. I didn't just say no. I started digging. I pulled property records, credit reports, with the help of my lawyer, legally, given the earlier attempt to involve me, and compiled a dossier of their financial ruin. The silence between us grew profound. We spoke only of the weather. Then Sasha's social media began to glow, hinting at big changes, photos of her on the porch with our parents, captions like, "Future homeowner vibes, wink wink." A week before Thanksgiving, my mother called, her voice sugar sweet. Sasha is so excited to host family dinners once the house is hers. Hers. The word was a final, quiet dagger. They weren't giving her a home, they were giving her an anchor. On Thanksgiving morning, I drove home with my dossier in a simple beige folder in my bag. My mother's hug at the door was stiff. Sasha will be so happy you're here. And the emphasis on Sasha's happiness, not ours, told me the performance was already underway. Babushka Irina caught my eye from her armchair and gave one slow, deliberate nod. The announcement and the unraveling. Dinner was a masterpiece of tension. The turkey was dry, the smiles were brittle, and the missing chair beside me screamed its absence. Then Sasha stood. She tapped her crystal water glass with a butter knife, the ting-ting-ting silencing the room. She was radiant, beaming like she was about to accept an Oscar. She announced, "I have the most amazing news. Mom and Dad are signing the house over to me. To me." She paused, her eyes sweeping the room before landing on me with a pitying smile. Anya gets nothing. The room erupted. My aunt whooped, my uncle clapped my father on the back, my mother dabbed a fake tear, her face a mask of proud sacrifice. It was a standing ovation for my erasure.
I didn't move. I didn't clap. I set my fork down with a soft click that somehow cut through the noise. I looked directly at my father, my voice calm and clear as ice. "Papa," I said, "should I tell them or will you?" The celebration died instantly. The silence was so deep, I could hear the clock tick in the hall. My father's face went ashen. Sasha's triumphant smile froze and cracked at the edges. "Tell us what?" she snapped, her voice too loud for the quiet. I reached into my bag and placed the beige folder on the linen tablecloth. I didn't open it. I let it sit there, an unexploded bomb. "Before you celebrate Sasha getting the house," I said, looking at my bewildered relatives, "you should know exactly what she's getting." "Anya, not now," my mother pleaded, her voice a strained whisper. "You chose now, Mama." I opened the folder. I slid the first page, a summary from the bank, with the total debt in bold red type, toward the center of the table. The house isn't a gift. It's bankrupt. There are 2 mortgages. The second one was a secret. They are over $120,000 in debt and months, maybe weeks from foreclosure. I looked at Sasha, whose face was rapidly paling. "Is this true?" Mark asked Sasha, his voice low and dangerous. "They said it was paid off," Sasha stammered, her confidence dissolving. "You expect me to marry into this? To take on this disaster?" Mark stood, his chair scraping loudly. He looked at my parents with disgust. "You were going to let us start our lives like this?" He didn't wait for an answer. He walked out, his exit a louder condemnation than any words. Sasha crumbled into her chair, a sob ripping from her throat. The glitter was gone, the performance over. She looked like a lost child. "I didn't know," she whispered over and over. "I know you didn't," I said, and for the first time, I held no malice, only a terrible, weary truth. My father slammed his fist on the table. "You have destroyed this family. For what? Jealousy?" "No," I said, standing now, my own voice rising to meet his. "You destroyed it when you built it on lies. You tried to trap me first, and when I wouldn't be your victim, you chose her." I pointed at Sasha, who flinched. "That's not love. That's a sacrifice to save yourselves." The reckoning. Before the shouting could continue, a firm knock echoed through the house. Once, twice. My mother looked panic-stricken. "Who?" My father answered the door. A woman in a serious dark coat stood there, a badge visible on her belt. "Mr. Petrova?" Mrs. Petrova, I'm with the County Financial Compliance Office. We need to speak with you regarding irregularities in your mortgage filings and a possible case of attempted fraud. The room collectively stopped breathing. Babushka Irina simply closed her eyes and nodded slowly, as if she'd expected this all along. The investigators' calm, professional questions in our dining room, surrounded by half-eaten pie and shattered illusions, were the final blow. My parents spluttered, contradicted themselves, and finally fell silent. The aftermath was a quiet earthquake. The house was sold in a short sale. My parents moved to a small rental. The lavish, performative love they'd shown Sasha curdled into mutual resentment and blame. Sasha called me a week later, her voice hollow. They lied to me my whole life, Anya. They made me the star of a show that was about to be canceled. We talk now, Sasha and I. It's fragile, raw. She's in therapy. I'm learning to let go of the anger, but I will never again let go of the truth. I learned the hardest lesson a family can teach. Sometimes the most revengeful thing you can do is simply stop participating in the lie. Sometimes claiming your peace means dismantling their warped reality, even if it leaves you standing alone in the wreckage, finally free.